So I just want to remind you guys, so we've learned a lot of different types of solving equations or solving quadratics. This is going back to solving by factoring, so it's been a while since we've done this. So to solve by factoring, we need the equation to equal 0 first. So I want it to look like this. So this equation, I want it to equal 0. I like leaving the x squared where it is, especially if it's positive like that. I'm going to move that 6x over. Now when I write this, I like to write in the same order I'm used to. So that's that, it's the order of highest power down to lowest power. Guys, we should be taking notes. You shouldn't have to be on your calculator right now. So I put those just in the right order that I want. So we want to factor this. And so when we have the x squared in the front, the type of factoring we're doing is what I consider kind of the easier type of factoring, where it's two sets of parentheses, and I already know it's going to be x and x because I have the x squared there. Now I want to multiply to get 9, but I want to add to get -6. So multiply to get 9, add to get -6. Now, if I'm multiplying to get a positive, I'm adding to get a negative, they both have to be negative. And out of these are the only two options we have. Obviously, it has to be -3 and -3. Now, the new thing we learned this chapter is that when we solve, we have to now find the x value that makes this equal 0. And if you notice, we have the same set of parentheses twice, so I don't really need to solve them twice. I just need to do it one time. X minus 3 equals 3, or equals 0. I don't have to write that 2 times because I know it's going to be the same answer each time. So this is one where I only get the one answer. So x equals 3, that's our only answer. It just would happen technically twice. So this method works super well if it's set up well for this. So this problem is a great one where factoring is super easy, no worries about having a decimal answer, nice whole number answers. It works really well. So that works nice if the problem is set up well for that. What we're going to learn today is a formula that works for all types of problems. So it works for the ones we've done with square roots, the one we've done with graphing, the one we've done with factoring. Any type of problem can be solved using this formula. The only thing is the formula is kind of complicated. So it's probably not our go-to method if we can solve it like this easier way. So I'm going to write down the quadratic formula. Now, there's a couple of things I want to make sure you guys are familiar with. And we've talked about this before. Is that I always want it to equal 0. And like I said, the reason why we like this one is it works for all quadratic equations, which are equations that have an x squared. And again, quadratic means there's an x squared in the equation. So we're going to write this formula down. And then I'm going to show you guys a few different ways to learn it. I mean, I'm going to allow you guys to put this on your chart, so you don't have to have this memorized. But this would be something that eventually, if you're going on to Algebra 2, you might end up memorizing this. Maybe even before the end of this section, you guys memorize it. So it allows us to find the x's. So the formula, I'm going to write it down, and then I'll kind of say it a few times so you understand. Make sure you copy it down correctly. Obviously, it's kind of important. So that's negative b. That's not a -6. And then I did that little plus or minus thing. So I did a big square root, and the fact that all of that's underneath the square root is important. So b squared minus 4ac. And then I'm going to make a big fraction bar. And notice with the fraction bar, the b and that square root are all part of it, but the x is not. So do you see that? So it's underneath the b and the square root all over 2a. So this is a big, complicated formula. Like, you're probably like super overwhelmed and like, holy cow, like I feel like I'm doing, rocket science with this formula. It's a complicated formula, and that's why we, like, if you look at our notes, it has 6 steps, because we're gonna kind of break this down and try to kind of chunk it up and make sense of each of the steps. So this formula is not easy, but at the same time, once you basically are doing the same thing over and over again. So like, just like any of you guys who play an instrument, the first time you play it, it probably looked really complicated, all these like keys that you had to touch, like that you didn't know what any of them meant. Now you do it without even looking. Kind of same idea, it's practice. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of things here. So I'm not the only one who teach. I didn't just make this up to be mean. So we're going to Google the quadratic formula. And I'm going to do videos. Actually, I'm going to do quadratic formula song, because those are all explaining how to do it. So, like, if you look, and I guess it doesn't tell me how many, maybe if we did YouTube, the quadratic formula, it's crazy how many people, like, have made up a version of this song. Like, I could, like, that one's with harmony, there's a musical, like, these people all sing, like, different ways, quadratic formula rap. So there's like, I mean, I am not the only one who's, expected or asked their students to learn this formula. So I'll tell you some of my favorite songs that go with this, because why wouldn't you? And then I'll show you my one that I found that I think is the funniest. It's the little guys here. But so the way I think my teacher might have taught it to me this way is like, the pop goes the weasel, all around the mulberry bush, the monkey chases the weasel. So this is what that one is. So it's x equals the opposite b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So, and that one is like right here, like somebody else did that as well. So I'm not the only one.
GS has given me the opportunity to really challenge myself in ways that I never thought that I could be challenged.
Get ready.
The quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
So again, so at some point, I mean, I did not, and that was someone's school choir that sang that. You guys can talk to Mrs. Anderson. But let me find, oh, she's going to go again. Ah. Okay, where'd that other one go? All right, this is the one I think is funny. So this one gets dark. Like at one point there may be a murder during the quadratic formula song. So, but I think it's funny because the graphics are funny. So I'll show you guys this one. But you might find, so again, I'm trying to show you guys this because the quadratic formula is something that math students all over have to use. So obviously they've done projects, they've made up videos and like ways to remember it. So this is not just me being mean and making you guys learn this. But this one's funny. I think it's funny anyway, but okay. So, and again, and I don't, like again, there's a dark moment. Hang on, let me put closed captioning on, that might help. Okay. And so if you guys remember, he makes some good connections with our parabolas. So if you guys remember, all this goes together. So we'll.
I don't understand that. I'm in any trouble. This problem's all my fears. So I took out my notebook and I wiped away his tears with the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula.
Sorry, murder.
I exclaimed, why did you do this? Do you even care? Didn't I just help you? Didn't I complete your square? No, actually, I used the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. And it's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Over to a, over to a, over to a. Now my life is over, but I've seen all that I can see. Quadratics, cubics, quintics, quartics got the best of me.
Remember, he died. This is the guy that's dead.
Knowing that upon my tombstone carved for all the world to see will be the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. The quadratic formula. And it's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Over to a, over to a, over to a. One more time. Quadratic formula.
I think they're gonna floss soon. Just be ready.
Quadratic formula. Just bring it way down. Quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. And it's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Over to a, over to a, over to a, over to a.
And you might have it stuck in your head if you're someone who picks up tunes pretty quickly, but again, goofy video somebody came up with at some point, and I don't know how we stumbled upon it, but that one makes me giggle. So, and I've obviously, I mean, how many, let me see, I was gonna see. How many, this is 17 years ago. So, and yeah, so there's that. But, so obviously the graphics improved, but I thought these were cute. All right, so we're gonna talk about the formula, obviously, and actually set it up. And I don't know how much we'll get into today. Again, I really just want us to get really good at setting this up and being able to do the different steps. And so, again, I'm fine if we take our time with this and we maybe just do a couple of questions today. We'll kind of see how things go. I'm gonna watch the time and kind of just get our steps written out as we do this. So I'll kind of show you maybe probably one all the way through, and then maybe we'll just set another one up. So we'll kind of see how we're doing here. So our first step, so we're going to solve using the quadratic formula. And our first step is it has to equal 0 first. So just like factoring, it must equal 0. Otherwise, we can't figure out what A, B, and C are. And when I do that, I want to make everything equal 0, and I want to write it in that the standard form. Make sure we're right, please. Hayden, why don't you sit up, please? So we're going to move that 35 over. In order to move 35 over, we're going to subtract it. So that's our first step, is making it equal 0. And all that did was it changed the sign of 35, but it's kind of important. A positive 35 versus a negative 35 is going to make a big impact. Our next step I like to do is listing my A, B, and C, kind of like we did when we were doing our parabolas. So I like to list what A, B, and C are, because we're going to use them all in our big formula. So what's our A here? Yeah. 1, yep. What's B? What kind of 2 though? Yeah, yeah. Be careful about the sign, so -2. Because just one little sign will throw the whole thing off, and that's so annoying, because this is a long formula. We don't want to make a mistake because of that. And then finally, what's our C? What's our C? Jason, what's our C? -35. Thank you. So we have our A, B, and C. So now we're going to put them all into our formula. Now I'm going to write the formula again just so that we have it right here, because your page obviously is all one sheet. I can't see the top of my page. So opposite of B plus or minus the square root, B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. You want to sing that part? All right, so what we're going to do is take the A, B, and C and now put them into this formula. So we're going to put all these variables in all the right spots. Now, when we say the formula, we say negative B or the opposite of B. So that's why I was so careful about saying B was -2. Because if I'm doing the opposite of that, we're actually going to write +2. Does that make sense? The opposite of B. Plus or minus, and we'll deal with that later. That plus or minus is there just to remind us there's 2 answers there. Now B squared, since I'm squaring a negative, I'm going to put in parentheses. The reason we're doing that again is for our calculator's benefit and for our own to remind ourselves that when we square a negative, it's going to become positive. So -4. Now AC, what are A and C doing to 4? What math are A and C doing to 4? What math's happening there? Yeah. It's multiplying. So I'm going to show that with multiplication, just using parentheses. 1 and -35. And then same thing with 2A, it's being multiplied. Make sure you're staying with us, please. So 2A, so 2 times 1. Brayden, you with us? Thank you. So we put it all into the formula. Now today, I would be delighted if we could get problems just set up, like put in all the right spots. Because doing this, it's so easy, like you could realize I could switch B and C and this whole thing would be wrong. Like the whole formula would be messed up. So getting the formula set up is kind of the key to what I want to do for today. But I'm still going to go through the rest of the steps and show you what we typically will do. So from there, I'm going to go to underneath the square root. So I'm going to simplify and everything underneath the square root. And when I do that, I would suggest using parentheses, using your calculator. So just being really careful. So we're going to simplify everything underneath the square root. And like I said, we're going to get this down so that we're doing this all the same way all the time. So I'm just going to do the part underneath the square root. So I want you guys to try that in your calculator. So -2 squared minus 4 times 1 times -35. And tell me what you end up getting. So you guys should be typing this into your calculator. Don't expect somebody else is doing it for you. I would suggest using parentheses. So tell me what ends up underneath that square root. I might kind of do an in-between step here. Question? Oh, sorry, parentheses, calculator in parentheses. Yeah. squared, if I did that, that's going to be 4. Negative 4 times 1 times negative 35 is going to be a positive 140. And so I'm going to add those. So I got 144 underneath my square root. Did you guys as well? I'm hoping. So underneath the square root, this whole thing should be 144. Anyone have an issue with getting that? Did you guys get 144 there? So again, I rewrote my problem so that everything's the same except what's underneath the square root. So I just kind of rewrote that. Should be taking notes here, bud. We have to get used to setting this up. Any questions, issues? I'm going to wait a second to make sure we're all together here. So again, I just did what is underneath the square root, got 144. Okay? And good news is there are only a couple steps left. So now we're going to take the square root. So I wrote take square root and set up 2 equations. So we're going to take the square root of 144. So in your calculator, you should be able to do the square root of 144 unless you already know what it is. And then we're going to set up those 2 equations. What is the square root of 144? It's a nice number. Yep. It's going to be 12. Yep. So I took the square root. So the square root is now gone. And I just have the square root of 144 is 12. And it says now to set up our 2 equations. So just like we did with our solving by square roots, now we have 2 plus 12, and we're going to do 2 minus 12. Now I keep writing 2 times 1 on the bottom. I can just write 2 on the bottom. So I set up my 2 equations. It's going to be 2 plus 12 divided by 2. And then 2 minus 12 divided by 2. Our last step, it's kind of strange, but we're actually going to do the top first. And then we'll just divide or simplify. So we're going to do 2 plus 12 is 14, divide by 2. 2 minus 12 is negative 10, divide by 2. So my 2 answers would be 7 and negative 5. Those are our 2 answers. All right. So what I would like to do with you guys is I'd like to just set up one more problem. Your homework tonight is going to be just setting up like 2 of the questions out of our homework. So I'm not going to have you guys do a ton of questions. I'm not even going to have you guys find the answer tonight unless you like really feel confident about this. But we're going to set up one more question, so we're going to flip it over. And like I said, I'm going to shorten your homework a whole bunch. I know I'm not giving you guys much time for homework, so it's not going to be very long. I'm going to literally just have you set it up, and I'll show you guys, I'll model that in this next problem. So when you guys are ready, you can flip your page over. So we're just going to set up this next one. So we're basically going to do steps like 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll finish the notes tomorrow, or hopefully. Okay, so our first step is to make it equal 0. So the first step is make it equal 0. So I have to move that 9 over. equals 0. Our second step is list A, B, and C. So again, just getting the habit of listing A, B, and C. So they're right there for us. A is 2, B is 7, C is -9. And again, our last step, all I want you guys to do is set up the problem. So just put everything in to our equation. Now it's kind of annoying because it's on the other side, but I'll write it here again. And I will tell you guys, the more times you guys write this down and get used to writing it, it will get like more confident, be more confidence for you. Again, anytime you do something for the first time, it's awkward. And we're trying to get past that point. So opposite of B is always the one that can throw us off. It's the opposite of 7, so -7. Plus 7 squared. I like throwing it in parentheses anyway. You don't have to. -4 times A times C. So I put them all in parentheses again. And then over 2A. 2 times 2. This is all I want you guys to do. I just want you to get it set up. And I'm going to have you guys just do the first 2 questions, just setting up. Actually, let me look real quick at the homework because I think I have something listed different in the book. And like I said, it shouldn't take us long. It's only going to be 2 questions. I'm going to have you set them up. Oh, actually we could, yeah, let's just set up numbers. Okay. Okay, so what your homework is going to be, only 2 questions. It's going to be number 3 and number 13. And I don't think I have it posted yet. I'll have to post it real quick. We're going to set up numbers questions 3 and 13. That means just doing steps